Catch you later.
So as we get ready to open up here this morning, and throughout the day today, figured we pretty much take you guys along on the story from when we closed on this piece of ground on May 10th. All the projects that we had to do, things that we ran into, had issues with, and basically how we got things put together to bring a pumpkin patch and open it on September 15th. So that's 4 months and 5 days to bring an agritourism farm to our local community. So there's been a lot of discussion going back and forth and stuff like that about, is pumpkin farming real farming, is it doing all that? And it's like, heck yes it is. It's a whole sector of farming called agritourism. Agritourism is basically tourism evolved around agriculture. So part of the pumpkin patch is basically the experience of coming to a farm to pick pumpkins, go through corn mazes, play on activities, see animals like that, and have like good family bonding experiences, you know, those good old core memories that people think about. So yes, it is farming to me, yeah. So the best way to start this video is straight from the beginning. This field was a completely blank cornfield when we bought it. There was absolutely nothing here. The building behind you that you see, we'll be talking about how that went up. The power, the water lines, the regulations, the ticket booth, which is the old grain bin right there with the elevator. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the gravel that comes in here and getting it done, and power, and cutting the corn maze and planting the pumpkins and building the kid activities, all part of it. But at the beginning, we start with basically needing to put the entrance in 4 months ago. After the entrance was in, I pretty much left this alone. We didn't put it in the driveway because I didn't want to track up mud or do anything along those lines to get my gravel dirty before it got let go, or before I didn't want to get the gravel dirty. There you go, muddy. So the driveway was somewhat in, or the entrance was in, and from that point in time we started to build the bin site prep. Bin site prep, we used the old dozer. You guys got to see a couple of those videos of the dozer pushing. Brought in clay to build somewhat of a base, and then just a little base, and then put rock on the top of that. We got really darn lucky that our builder, Andrew Uchi was our builder, or Uchi, that our builder, Uchi Construction, called me and said, hey, we had a project get pushed a little bit. Are you guys ready to start building? And I had just finished that building pad that day. The unlucky part about that is they did show up basically that next Monday or whatever it was, or Thursday. I think they started on a Thursday. And we had that mini derecho come in, and they had just put the poles up and they had the end trusses on, and she gave the building a little bit of a twist. So yeah, we had some really good winds come through, but they were able to push it back to square, fasten everything back together, and get back to building. It took them about, I think they had it pretty well done in 2 days, which was just the outside and the porch. That was kind of laid on there. That was pretty well done. So at that point, the outside of the building was done, and we could start on the inside of the building after we got some concrete poured. While we were waiting to pour the concrete, the next thing we had to do was get a water pit brought in. Was brought in from the main across the road, bored underneath the road here to the pit. The pit is located right there, and that was the extent of what the water company would do. After that, Colt and I made a video for you guys of trenching about 400 feet, not trenching, actually excavating in about 400 feet of water line to two different hydrants up here, bringing water to the pumpkin patch. We got that one checked off the list. That was, I think we got it done in a day, and that was a pretty good day's worth of work. It was a full day's worth of work, but we managed to get it done. Our concrete crew came in, and this was during the first heat wave of the summer, of course. And if you guys know things about concrete, it's not the best thing in the world to be getting concrete poured with big heat. So what we ended up doing is, I think we scheduled the pour for like 5 o'clock in the morning. J&J Ready Mix out of Centerville brought us concrete there. The overhead door was not on, and so we just poured the concrete in there. Had a tarp so we could put the tarp down. As the sun came up, the concrete was poured, so then the sun wasn't directly on it. And by the time that they started to finish that, we kind of were like, we weren't planning necessarily on pouring the porch itself here this morning, or not this morning, that day. But by the time the inside got finished, it's just a nice, really nice trowel finish here. It was pretty much the sun and shade had reached the porch section of the concrete, and we ended up pouring it. Concrete took 3 trucks exactly. The downside of that is that my pad here, right here, actually did not make it as far as I wanted it to, so it actually ended right here. And later on, we ended up pouring the concrete, as in me, Andrew, and Colt. Poured the concrete there. You can definitely tell the difference in between a guy that pours concrete all the time and us. So quality was a little bit different. So we poured that concrete, and at that time, we also poured the concrete for the ticket booth, which, you know, is nothing fancy, but it's a concrete for a ticket booth, and the little bit of concrete for the wash pad. Which reminds me that we just skipped a big step that probably if you watched any other videos, I was really worried about, was the drainage wise. So for drainage, if you look right there, we brought a tile line, which I have some video of it, we'll show you guys. We brought a tile line right on up here. It splits the building here, so there's tile line right under here covered with rock, goes all the way out there into the patch. The downspout from the front side of the building is tied into that. The drainage from the pumpkin wash is tied into that, and then the drainage from the back side of the building is drained into that as well, so we're not dumping any water up here unnecessarily. And then there's this low spot right here where Molly's walking. There's a French drain covered with stone as well. So that's how we took care of the drainage. It's been working pretty darn good. Something that I was really worried about was water going towards the building. I think we hit the nail on the head. We're good. So at this point in time in our venture here, we have had gotten basically the shell of the building up, the water line up the hill, and drainage installed, and our concrete poured. Next part we need to do is start thinking about electrical. What we haven't talked about is that before we even started this project, and what allowed us to actually get this done on time, is a massive amount of luck. No, yes and no, but basically we had secured our funding. We went through Sheraton Valley Electric, it's a revolving loan fund, to secure funds to basically build this pumpkin patch. Not necessarily the ground, but the actual like building of the pumpkin patch, and then of course funds of our own. And then on top of that, we had been having the business plan, so we kind of knew what we wanted to tackle. So the plan was developed to accomplish that in the 4 months, or the 3 months, or 4 months and 5 days, or whatever it was. But a lot of pre-planning, so the proper planning prevents piss poor performance type of thing, that kind of kicked in there. So if that works, if that makes sense, we're good there. Where we're going to pause here is that during this time of the building, we actually had started to do all of the outside work, which there was videos on that, of the planting of the pumpkins. We planted 3.5–4 acres of pumpkins. They have yielded tremendously. You guys will see that here a little bit later on in the video when we walk through that, show you what the actual pumpkin patch itself looks like. And we planted the corn maze. The corn maze, people have asked a lot of questions about the corn maze. The corn maze is planted at kind of a regular population. It was planted at 32,000 plants per acre. The difference is that I planted it twice. Now, the population, again, is 32,000 plants per acre. I just cut the population in half and planted it north and south and east and west as a checkerboard. The maze itself was hand designed by me. I then took that picture, laid a grid over it to size of the actual patch that or the corn patch that we planted. We went out there with flags. It's all in the video. Flagged it all out, put the flags in, then used a lawnmower to cut it out. What you can use, and I might try and find somebody that's really good at this that'll help me out with it. If you are, send me an email to probably design the actual corn maze next year, and then probably next year, instead of it just being a Papos corn maze, we might look for a sponsor, like a local sponsor that might want to actually sponsor the corn maze and might tie in one of their designs there for the corn maze. So that's one thing that we're also going to be looking at. So there's videos on that part. You guys will get to go see all of that stuff along with building the bridge that is in the corn maze. Let's get back to the construction part of this. So one thing that we knew that we were not going to be able to take on this year is food. So we had to actually have a plan for food. Well, we were thinking food trucks. Well, small town Iowa, we do have some really good places to eat, but you can only eat there so many times until you've eaten everything on the menu. So it's always fun to bring in some food trucks, a little bit of diversity for people to be able to come out and eat. Like this weekend, we have Big Country Concessions, the Fair Cup, really good food, good barbecue. And then we have partnered with Lizzie Allen, which is a local coffee truck, to supply all the good drinks that you guys are going to want to have on a nice day at the pumpkin patch. And then of course we've got the kettle corn over here. So we thought, well, food trucks, they can kind of, you know, run their generators and supply themselves. As we started to look at the electrical, and I was like, man, I really don't want to have generators running the entire time and have that noise and all that stuff around here. Let's eat the expense. And we brought in some extra electricity, which we'll talk about the electricity again some more here. But for food, like we just talked about, for food this year, we have food trucks in a partnership with Lizzie Allen for our coffee. But to supply them, we brought in power service board over here for them, which has camper outlet plugs, and then some 110 for them to plug into, keep it quiet. Then on the next heat wave, Colt and I built all these picnic tables for people to sit at and eat lunch, dinner, snacks, drink a apple slush smoothie, or snack on some kettle corn. But for our main power comes off this pole right down here, got trenched along the road here to a transformer that sits back behind the ticket booth bin. Behind the ticket booth bin, we have our service panel, which brings electricity to our ticket booth and then electricity to our store. Something that we learned, and you guys might want to consider this yourselves as you ever think about this, is that our agricultural building was not deemed an agricultural building. So our building was actually deemed a commercial building. This was our first big kind of screw up or you know, hurdle that we had to overcome. Because it was deemed a commercial building, we had Romex wire installed into the building. Romex wire with tin put over the outside of it, you know, like we did right here. Does not meet what's called a 15-minute flash burn, which is a rule. Apparently, you know, we need 15 minutes to get out of a 900 square foot or, you know, 1,200 square foot building or something along those lines. But it's code. So what we ended up having to do is we had to put drywall under all of our tin, and then we could put the tin up. The drywall just had to go up, didn't have to be mudded, taped, or anything like that. It just had to go up to get us the code. So that was a little bit of a hiccup there, but we got that tackled and put together. We'll let Molly later on talk about how she designed her farm store and how she takes care of the farm store. Well, I'm just gonna keep taking you guys through the construction part of this. So after getting the drywall up and getting the building finished, my construction aspects were done with that, and I could hand it over to Molly. But my constructioning was not completely done. It was time to lay in the rock. Now with the rock, I spent my first life savings and my second life savings. So we ended up basically starting with just the road and rock underneath the concession area, and then rock to the entrance. Well, our first weekend, we got rain. And I had seeded the ground with annual ryegrass and oats, and then some grass seed too, just in case it does grow, but I doubt it. Just to make fake grass out there. People think I have turf or something when I say fake grass, but it's not real grass. And that's what we had right here in the parking lot. It was a little bit slippery, so then we ended up pulling the trigger and bringing in some rock from Cantera here to get our parking lot put in. So now we have a gravel parking lot for people to safely be able to park in case it does sprinkle or rain. So after the physical construction of the building was done, we had to do the construction of the play area. So for the play area, or for the layout of the patch, we have our gourd section, which has our gourd arch right there. Gourds grew up in it. We'll just go show you real quick. And the gourds just hang out in there. Really cool photo op opportunity. And then of course, you can't have a pumpkin patch without having some goats. So the pygmy goats get to hang out here during the opening of the days that we're open, and then head off to the farm to hang out for the week during the week. They got a little play area there and get fed pretty darn well. We have then the little kid play area, which is all the things for like the 3-year-olds and under type of place, but really whoever wants to have fun there can go in there and have it. And then there's also the little kid pumpkin patch, which are all the small little pumpkins that they can go in there and grab that they can actually handle. Of course, we have a corn pit. We have not opened up the corn pit yet this morning, so we just take the tarp off of it. It did on Friday have a 20-foot tarp or tent over the top of that. We had another tent right there, a few more shade tents scattered all over the place, and we got some really big wrens and ate all my shade tents. So yeah, there is the entrance to the patch, and then at the end of it is the entrance to the corn maze. Got the hamster wheel for kids to play on, the good old gravity wagon turned into a basketball hoop for kids to shoot at. This here is soccer pool. A lot of people are playing that, really enjoying it. Pumpkin bowling alley. Again, gravity wagon turned into a basketball hoop. Oh, swish. The cable dozer is here for people to sit on, take pictures, check out. The dudes are loving that. We got bags, table games here for people to play at. All that good stuff. Places for the parents to sit down and watch the kids play. Colt and I did build all these benches. That was quite an undertaking. For restrooms, we are using Clark's luxury restrooms, porta potties. That's what we're taking on with that. So we didn't bring in a septic system, something that Molly can talk about a little bit later. Rock climbing wall we had to get put up in the air for kids to be able to climb on. And then we were really looking to try and get a bounce pad. Probably we didn't get the bounce pad this year, but it's something that we might want to consider in the future as a bounce pad. But a good old Facebook Marketplace came through, and we got this monstrosity right here. That is an attraction, and it's a big old bounce house. I think it's 30 by 30 or something along those lines. Yeah, it's fun. We of course have the duck races for kids to get going on, and for me to turn around and have to fix every day. They're a joy. Jenga, we have tic-tac-toe, balloon pop, big bubbles, and my creation. This is Papo Slide Mountain. We ordered some tile tubes from Prinsco, showed up. We've got the big tile, the racing tile tubes. Why don't we go be adults real quick? Hold on. But yep, big square bales of hay. First year I don't have any, or not hay, big square bales of straw. First year I don't have any straw. First year I've ever needed straw. So we climb on up, hop on up. And head on down. Good to go for the day. So then, of course, there's the video of bringing in our overhead, and we got some signage done. But I need to go get things opened up for people here in the next hour to start showing up. So I'll hand the GoPro over to Molly. She can talk about her store.
So Ben took you through kind of how we got the farm store built up, and how we got everything sort of laid out at the pumpkin patch. I'm gonna take you through just a little more of maybe like the business side of things within the farm store and the patch itself. So we'll start with the patch just because that's probably a little shorter. So the patch kind of operations itself, we sell tickets out of the Grain Bin ticket booth, which I'm sure Ben has shown you. So you pull in, you park, and if you're just going back into the patch, you can just go straight to the ticket booth, purchase your tickets, and go back and play. And then the store is separate from the patch, so there's no admission to get into the store. You can come in and shop, whether you're going out to the patch or not. And we set that up on purpose because, you know, there's people that are just coming out to buy pumpkins for their porch and don't necessarily need to pay admission to go back into the patch to pick them. So we've pre-picked a bunch of pumpkins. They're all out here piled up on pallets. It looks super cute. So we just have our little pumpkin yard is what I like to call it. And then you can come into the store and you can shop for fall decor or any of our other awesome vendor items that we have in here. So kind of leading into that, then I guess I should say the patch admission includes access to all of the activities that we have. So we have a bunch of fun games to play outside. We have Slide Mountain, we have goats, we have all that good stuff to enjoy outside. It also gains you access to the actual pumpkin patch where you can, where you can pick your own. So you can go through and you can pick out your own pumpkin, but we do have to cut it for you. So it's just an insurance thing. You know, if we're having an employee use the snippers versus a customer, it's just a liability thing. So you can go out, you can take a wagon, you can pick your pumpkins, and then you just yell at one of the guys that's working in the patch to come in and cut your pumpkin for you. And then you get to wheel them up back to the ticket booth. We do sell pumpkins by the pound out of the patch, and we'll weigh them up for you at the ticket booth and then bring you up out there for your patch pumpkins. That patch admission also gains you access to our corn maze, which is awesome and fun, and Ben did a great job on the corn maze. So yeah, admission gets you access to everything here. There's nothing, you know, we're not trying to make you upgrade for everything that you get to do here. We just wanted it to be one upfront cost, and you get access to everything back there. The only thing back there that you have to pay for additionally is if you pick any pumpkins out of the patch. So inside the store, I would say that, so here's a little snapshot of it. I would say that about, 90% of the items that are in this store are from local vendors or local-ish vendors. So we did not buy a lot of inventory to sell. I bought some fall decor things, some candles, and then obviously we've purchased some like drinks and snacks to sell out of the store as well. But everything else that is in this store comes from local vendors. People that have reached out and want to sell stuff in the store, people that I've reached out to ask if they would like to put their stuff in the store. We just have a wide variety of treats and decoration and shirts and like all sorts of just adorable stuff that you never really know what kind of local talent you have until, you know, you're asking around for it. And it's been awesome. And I was concerned because when we were talking about building the store, we started off with a smaller building, and Ben said, you know, I think we need to make it bigger. And I was like, but I have to fill it up with stuff. And I was actually really concerned that it was gonna look empty, but man, did people show up, and people were excited to put their stuff in the store. So yeah, we're excited. It's been going really, really well. And yeah, if you haven't made it out here yet to shop at the farm store, please come out and see all of this awesome, awesome stuff that all of these local vendors have created. It's really cool. So let's talk about maybe the design of the store a little bit. So on the inside walls, we decided to go with kind of this darker brown color. It was called slate, which is kind of misleading. I feel like slate is more of a gray color, but we went with the darker brown with the white ceiling. We just thought that the colors that come with fall, those oranges, those browns, all that sort of stuff, the reds would really pop off of a brown wall better than the other colors that we had available to us. So that's why we went with brown. And then we kind of just needed to fill some space. This is a tall building, just, you know, for safety purposes and all of that, you know, fallback reasons. We made sure that it had a high ceiling so that this could be used for storage for farm equipment if needed. So it has the overhead door, it's got a 14-foot ceiling, so it's a big building. And we knew that there was gonna be a lot of empty space from like shopping height up. So like not a lot of our stuff in here is over 6 foot tall because, you know, you want people to be able to see it and reach it and grab what they want. One of the first things that we did was we decided that we wanted to put farm store on here. Obviously it's not much of like a farm store, but I like calling it the farm store. I think it's cute. It has a nice little ring to it, Papa's Farm Store. So these are one of the first things that we purchased. I ordered these giant letters off of Etsy, and I cannot recall the name of the people that did it. I'll put it down here in the video after I look it up. But they were awesome, great quality. They came just like regular pine board. And my sister Rachel and I stained the outside with brown, and then I found this really awesome paint color from our local True Value and painted the inside of them blue so that it would really pop off. And then somehow, some way, I actually found this tealish metal cabinet at an auction, and I feel like it matches really, really well, so that worked out. And then another thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to have like a corner like for us. So we've got like our Papo shirts and Ben's hats, and then we put in a TV in the farm store. And it's actually worked out pretty well. On Fridays or Saturday mornings, we will run our YouTube channel on the store, and that's actually been kind of cool. People have like been watching it, and it's nice to have that kind of background noise going on. And then on Saturdays, Saturday afternoons and Sundays, we put the football game on. So it works out pretty good, actually. We actually get to watch some football. And the dads like it a lot. So that's one thing that I think was a really good decision. And another thing that I think is really cool and people have really enjoyed it is we did this kind of story of the patch wall. So I typed up this story, kind of how the patch got started. You guys know all that jazz. And put it on a canvas. And then I printed off a bunch of photos. So these are all photos that you guys have seen. They're all photos that have been on social media. And I printed a bunch of photos off and just put them up so that people could see kind of the progress and the process of building the pumpkin patch. And that's one of my favorite features in here. But I actually think my absolute favorite feature in this building is this right here. I stole this from one of my good friends. She does my hair, so shout out to JC. She has one of these in her house. Of her grandma's cookie recipe, and I had to ask her how she did that, how she got that. So she sent me the link of where she ordered her canvas from. I took a picture of my great grandma, so my grandma Foster. I took a picture of her pumpkin pie recipe and sent it in. And it's hanging on our wall in front of a rack of pie pumpkins. So I just think that's a cute little touch. And then of course, kind of like the key feature, I think, to our store is our checkout counter and our checkout wall. So one of the wagons that we used for a road sign came with a bunch of just old barn wood in it. They had torn down like an old barn or an old shed or something and just threw all this junk wood into this wagon. And we kind of on a whim, Ben decided that he wanted to use it. So we contracted with one of our good friends' dads, John Faro, and he and one of his friends built this wall for us. And they just took all of that old wood, cleaned it up, and kind of edged it for us and built this awesome kind of feature wall. And Ben, as a gift to me, got me my neon Papa's sign. I wanted one, so he got one for me. And then they used some old reclaimed tin to make my checkout counter. We found this really cute sign on Amazon. My sister painted a cute little sign on an old tray that I garage saled, and then that's also from a garage sale and some little baskets. But I love this wall. So as I mentioned before, like 90% of the stuff that's in the store comes from local vendors. We have 24 vendors that sell out of our store, and that, like I said, ranges from kitchen towels to fresh flowers to fried pies to baked goods, door signs, porch decor, all sorts of cute stuff. And they do such an amazing job. And I'm so thankful that everyone was so willing to help me fill my store with their stuff. And you've got to come see it for yourselves, honestly. So kind of a little more operations side, we decided to go with and use a square stand for our POS system. So we purchased 2 of these. I have one in the store and I have one in the ticket booth. And I purchased the entire register kit. So it came with the stand, an iPad, a receipt printer, and a cash drawer. And it's all connected. And I can see on one device, I can see what that's sales for the day has been, or I can see what sales has been for both of my devices, which is nice when you're wanting like a snapshot of the day. And they work the same, and really it wasn't too bad. It was about $2,500 for both systems. So I was expecting that to be a much higher bill, but they've worked really well so far. The reporting is very easy to run. I created some accounting spreadsheets to be able to update vendors with what they've sold and how much they'll be getting out of their consignment fees and all that sort of stuff, so that they can see that on a weekly basis, and then I know on a weekly basis what we're going to be owing all of our vendors. So yeah, Square was a really good choice. I think it's been working really well. The credit card fees and stuff are not insane with Square, so it's been working really well so far. So I'm glad I made that sort of investment. So I guess kind of like layout of the store, we wanted to keep it really kind of open so you can sort of see everything all at once. We tried to create pathways where you want to come in and look around and kind of go around all of the different items that we've got. And it gives you a really good footpath through the store and makes you spend some time in here. And that's hopefully, encouraging whoever it is, our customers, to maybe grab a few things and, maybe they've made one lap and then they make another and they find something that they didn't see the first time and want to throw in their cart, in their basket. So I think we've done a really good job on that. I would say that our average spend time in the store is probably about 10 or 15 minutes, which if, you're a mom that's here just trying to kill some time while your kids are having fun out back, I think that's pretty good. And most of the time, people are stopping in on their way out. So the kids are done playing, they've picked their pumpkins, and then they're just coming in the store to see if there's anything that they want to grab. Unless they're coming here specifically for the store, and then they're spending a little more time in here. And I think it's worked out really well. Like I said, we've got lots of cool items from a lot of local places, and you've just really got to come out and see them yourself. And then here's our little candy area. So we have snacks, drinks, and some old-fashioned candy. It's been an adventure so far. The setup process, you guys didn't get to see a lot of that because it was stressful and it was hard, and there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into getting this place going. And even after we've opened, there's still been some tears. So it hasn't been easy by any means, but ever since we had that first opening weekend, this has been so fun. And I'm so glad that we got to do this and that we were able to do it in such a short amount of time and be able to be open for this fall season. And it's just going to keep getting better. And we love this place. And yesterday was a really, really good day. It was really the first day that we had like perfect fall weather, and we were busy all day long, and it was great. And we had some people that were visiting family in town, and they live in Washington State. And I had two of them separately come up to me and tell me that there are pumpkin patches all over the state of Washington, but that this is the best one that they've ever been to. And that really meant so much. So if you come out and you have a good time, please let us know, whether that's in person or through a Facebook or Google review. Please let us know if you've had a good time or what you think we can do better, because that's all we're here to do, is to make sure that our customers are having an absolute blast the whole time that they're here. Yeah, thanks for sticking it out with us, and hopefully you can get out to Papo's Pumpkin Patch sometime. Patch you later.